Welcome to a short lecture on how to do a bank reconciliation. And I want you to picture in your mind these scales every time you have to do a bank reconciliation, because what you're doing is comparing two independent sets of records for the same transactions. At the end of the day, they should be exactly the same and should balance. So what we're comparing is the bank's records versus the account holder's records, and those two should balance after we do our reconciliation process. So the bank's records are known as a bank statement, and I copied this off of the internet. This is not my bank statement, so we'll ignore the comments, but here's the name of the bank. The account holder's name has been erased, but the important things are we have the beginning balance and all of the effects of the transactions and the ending balance. There's been finance charges, all the checks that have been hit, the interest that's been assigned to the account. This is every transaction that has affected this account has been recorded by the bank. Next, we're going to look at the account holder's records. And here is a copy of a check register. This person, unlike many of you, has done a very good job of recording each check number and every transaction that's hit the account. They've been real careful to update every time they made a payment or made a deposit, and they've updated the balance. This is a very nicely done check register. So if everything has been recorded in this check register that the bank has recorded, then we're going to reconcile. But generally that doesn't happen because there are transactions that both parties doesn't know about. We're going to talk about that now. So this is the form of the reconciliation that I want you to do. Sometimes you'll see this listed in tandem. I like to do it in this manner, side by side, because it really puts you in the mind of the scales, of balancing the scales. So next, let's start on the heading. Every time you have to do a bank reconciliation, this heading should just jump out on your paper. We have the name of the account holder, could be a person or could be a company name. It's also a good idea to put the account number here because any person or company can have lots of different accounts at the same bank. Put the name of the bank. This is, of course, a reconciliation. And then you want the date of the bank statement because that's what you're reconciling to. You're reconciling the check register, the account holder's records, to the bank's records as of the bank statement date. Then over on your left side of the paper, you want to put the balance per the check register. Over on the right-hand side, you'll put the balance per the bank statement. And you'll pull this right off of the bank statement. And forgive my zeros here, they truncated. So let's jump to the next section, reconciling the bank statement. So we're going to start on the right-hand side of the reconciliation. We start with the balance per the bank statement. Something the bank wouldn't know about, outstanding checks. They wouldn't know if they haven't cleared yet, but those have been recorded in your register. So things that you have recorded in the register but the bank has not recorded yet get listed on the right side of the bank reconciliation. So here's a check number 101 that's outstanding, $66. There's a deposit in transit. Again, this money was put in, dropped in the lockbox or dropped in the bank's window after hours. So it did not hit that day's business, but the company or the person recorded it in the check register the day they put the money in the account. So the balance per the bank, we subtract out the outstanding checks because as soon as those hit, those will decrease the balance. The deposits in transit will increase the balance. That brings us a total of $684. That's the reconciled balance now because everything has been recorded that the bank didn't know about. Other possible items that could go on this side, and this is really limited. There's not much that you're going to see end up on the right side of the bank reconciliation. But if the bank has made an error in the problem that you're given, then that will go on the bank statement. In real life, the bank doesn't make too many errors. That would be a rarity. So next we're going to look at the check register, reconciling the check register side. We start with the balance per the check register. Things that the account holder didn't know about until they got the bank statement, bank fees. So they've learned about the bank fees. That's going to have to go on the left side of the reconciliation, the check register side of the reconciliation. Interest earned. Again, you don't know the exact amount until you get the bank statement. So that increases the check register balance. So we subtract out the bank fees, add in the interest earned. That brings us to a reconciled balance, which of course totals the reconciled balance from the bank statement side. And this is a reconciled account. Other possible items that can go on the left side of the reconciliation. If there is an error in the check register, obviously that has to be corrected on the the check register side of the reconciliation. Bounce check. Sometimes you don't find out about that until you get the bank statement. That would go on this side. And it can be a bounce check. Either the account holder bounced a check or an account or a check that was deposited was returned for insufficient funds. That is something that the bank knew about before the account holder knows about. So that goes on this side of the reconciliation. Notes collected on behalf of the account holder by the bank. So if the account holder uses a lockbox where the money is sent directly to the bank, they wouldn't find out about it until they got the bank statement. Also, the assorted fees that are assessed on accounts, you don't find out about until you get. That all goes on this side of the check register. You're not done now. Even though this account reconciles, remember, we want to record everything in the register, all of the transactions. So we just found out about a couple of more transactions. Here's some bank fees that need to be recorded in the check register, and interest earned. That has to be recorded in the check register. After those have been recorded, the balance per the register will be this reconciled balance. And that's the last step. If you're doing this in an accounting class, you actually have to write the journal entries to increase or decrease cash in accordance with the bank reconciliation. So this is the kind of a topic that is covered in business math or in accounting 1 class. It's not very academically valid. It's pretty simple. Something that I want you to think of and question is some more important topics related to banking. One is the overall role of banking in society and the interaction specifically between the financial services industry and government. For example, the FDIC, deposit insurance, the host of regulations around banking. It is not, as I wrote here at the bottom, it's not an example of a free market industry. Banks have their product guaranteed by the government, so there has to be some regulations that go along with that because a healthy banking system is important to our society. Another big issue that I'd like for you to consider is that there's 9 million adult Americans that are unbanked right now. They're taken advantage of. They have to get money orders. It's a very expensive proposition not to have a bank account, and the banks will not serve a number of people. There's an article on the FDIC.gov's website about this. A big problem is that minorities are overrepresented in this group of 9 million. So the Hispanics and African American communities have very high rates of unbanked. Another thing to consider is that banking is not a free market. In September 2008, many of the banks in our society would have failed without government intervention. So there's that tie-in between the democratic government and the financial services industry. And as educated college finance students, you will become part of the solution that will hopefully give us a stronger banking system and market financial services industry in this country. So thank you, study hard, and I'll see you in class.